Good afternoon, everyone. It is 4:30 with Signals, the start of our 6 steps to a better business webinar this afternoon. Today, we are going to be diving into concepts, tools, and tips that you can use when it comes to improving your business, raising the efficiency of the business, so that as a business owner, you can really begin to enjoy being in business. This is a seminar that our company usually holds around the third week of the month. We've been doing this now for the past 5 years as our contribution to you know some of the businesses that we might not be able to work with directly on a one-on-one basis. This allows them to still receive content and value that they can use to help to improve their business. Now, a little bit about our seminar today. We are going to be going into those 6 steps that will help you as a business owner to improve the way that you run and manage the business. Now, first of all, I'm going to ask some persons who are in our Zoom room, persons who are online. You can use the comment box or you can use the chat screen where you can, first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself. You're going to share your name, your company's name, and what is something special about you and or uh, the business that you're a part of, and what do you think would be your number one business challenge. So I'm going to give persons just a couple of minutes, give you 3 minutes to type in the information. You can use the chat box or you can use the comment screen for those persons who are tuned in on our social media platforms. And your 3 minutes starts now. All right, just remember your name, company, something special about you, and or your number one business challenge. I would have my technical team member with me, who's going to just confirm if any uh, content would have come in online. Right. So we are going to go quickly around in our chat room and just have a quick intro for the persons who are in the chat room. And I'm seeing, first of all, AN meeting. That's in chatting that I'm seeing. Can you just quickly unmute and do a quick intro? See that we have David, Mr. David Pope. You want to just go ahead and do a quick intro? Seems we're having. So I'll definitely come back to the intros. So for today, guys, we are going to be diving into concepts that can help you to improve how you run and manage the business. And before we get started, the vital question is, can I be your coach for the next 2 hours? All right, some persons are not getting to unmute. So 1 minute. If it, go ahead, David, you're now unmuted.
Hello, Ian. Good afternoon. My name is David Pope, representing Global Compliance Service. I'm not sure about anything special about myself, but I just joined the meeting today to try to learn and try to understand about the coaching that you guys give and how that may be able to assist me as an individual and my company as a whole. So it's just to get a basic understanding of the coaching concept that you guys have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. So today, my purpose as your coach will be to ensure that I reward the time that you invest this afternoon, because you could have been doing so many other different things this afternoon. We want to reward your time that you're investing with tools, techniques, and tips that you can use to increase sales and profits, that you can use to free up your time. You can really get to do the things that you want to do, the things that you would love to do. And many of us have hobbies, or we claim that we have hobbies, but unfortunately, we do not get a chance to really enjoy them because we are heavily invested in the business. And finally, to give you tips and tools that you can use to create an amazing team, the team that can help you to move your business forward. Now, a little bit about us, Action Coach Guyana. We are the world's number one business coaching firm. We have more than 1,000 coaching offices around the world, and we're in 80 countries and growing. We were founded in 2003 by Brad Sugars, and over that time, we have worked with many businesses around the world and with over 400 businesses here in Guyana. Now, we will continue to grow because our vision is Guyana's abundance through business re-education. And it is the mandate of the coaches to ensure that we can contribute to the economic prosperity of Guyana. Now, our firm, we have 4 certified business coaches here at Action Coach Guyana. Yours truly being the host of today's event. My background spans both business and accountancy. I absolutely love being able to impact hundreds, thousands, even hundreds of thousands of persons with the content and the work that I do. And I also have experience in both the private and public sectors. Next, we have Coach Shanti Prasad. Coach Shanti is pursuing a doctorate in transformational leadership. She's very passionate about personal development, seeing other persons reach their full potential. And Coach Shanti is absolutely phenomenal in working along with her clients as well. Next, we have Coach Premendra Parson. Coach Premendra is currently also he's pursuing a master's in medium and small and medium enterprise management. Second generation business owner, has over 20 years experience in retail and manufacturing. Coach Prem is also an AcuMatch behavioral coach, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about AcuMatch a bit later on in our webinar this afternoon. And the person with the vision, the CEO of Action Coach Guyana, Action Invest Caribbean Inc., Dr. Vishnu Durga, um, a pioneer, a visionary, if you may want to put it that way. Uh, his longing for business development here in Guyana, as demonstrated by his term in the business support organizations, such as the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and the Upper Quarantine Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Durga has a doctorate in management, specializing in entrepreneurship, and is really passionate about seeing the growth of Guyana's economy. Combined together as coaches, we work towards ensuring that our clients receive the best tools, skills, and knowledge, and really up to date knowledge to help them to move forward and to continue to grow their businesses and to employ more persons in the community. So, there you have your four coaches. These are the persons, either one of us, we're all trained as certified business coaches, and we can all deliver similarly to help you to grow your business. But we are supported also by a phenomenal team that ensures that our clients get the best service that we can deliver. Even preparing for this webinar today, the team is gifted enough that all we had to do as coaches to ensure that we turn up and that we can deliver. The combination of our team, we have Mrs. Davich Darga. She is our administrative director, ensuring that our records, both financial and HR, they are up to date, intact, and she's very, very diligent with regards to executing her duties. We have Ms. Divya Durga. She is our projects and systems director. Any project that we have to embark on, she ensures that she takes it from conception all the way to the point of having us execute. We have Ms. Ruby McCalman. She is our office coordinator slash accounts clerk, providing support to our administrative director and to the rest of the team. We have Ms. Tatiana Elcock. She is our executive assistant, responsible for managing events, activities, managing the coaches' activities as well, to ensure that we don't have clashes in events and or client sessions. And she's also doing a phenomenal job in her role. We have Mr. Roland Yuduksi, is our expediter, and more than that, he's also very knowledgeable. He also knows martial arts, so we have internal protection. Next, we have Mr. Daniel Sugrim. He's our business development manager, the person responsible for reaching out to prospective clients, letting them know what we do, and of course, starting that marketing funnel along the way. So, there you just had a brief introduction of the coaches and our awesome team members who continue to support what we do and to support our clients in their growth and development. One of the concepts that you will always come across, you would always see as part of our training would be the above and below the point concept. Now, I'm going to ask everybody to please go make sure you grab your pen, grab a notebook so you can take as much notes as possible. Writing really helps to cement information in your long term memory. It helps when you have to go back either to review the content that you've learned, because we can take in information, but it doesn't mean that we can remember every single thing. And it brings about the old saying that a short pencil is better than a long memory. So, first of all, we have below point type of behavior, and we call it bad behavior. We don't say bad behavior, you don't want to be judgmental to anyone. And when you're engaging in bad behavior, first of all, is a point where you are in denial. Point denial where things are not going okay in the business, but when people ask, you tell them, oh, it's absolutely fine. Being in a stage of denial means that you're telling yourself that you've been in this business for quite some time and there's nothing more that you need to learn, or there's nothing that nobody can teach you at this point. I can safely say to those persons who might have this type of attitude or this type of thinking, you are creating more harm than you can ever imagine. Denial can also be an acronym, which means didn't even notice I am lying. Because sometimes we lie to ourselves so much that it actually starts to sound like the truth, right? And it could also be for some team members. These are team members who are in denial, believes that they're the superstar of the team, which means that if they leave or if they're not there, things cannot go right. And unfortunately, it might be those same individuals who are actually sabotaging your businesses or stymieing the growth of the business. We move from the state of denial and we move up to excuses. Now, let's think about it. When we were younger, I mean, some of us has to go back longer than others. Let's think about some of the excuses we made when we couldn't finish our homework in school. Whether it be the dog ate it, whether it be the book got wet, you forgot the book, or there was blackout, and even GPL is still getting blamed up to a day like today, which means we make those excuses so that we can get out of submitting the homework or not submitting the homework, I should say. But if you think about it, what is the biggest excuse we make now as adults? And it begins with T. We're always running out of time. When you have to submit your report, when you have to execute and get something done, we're always looking to say that we ran out of time. Now, the poor clock that is on the wall and doing exactly what it needs to get done is getting all the blame. And that is where we graduate and we get our PhD, where we blame. Blaming is where we point fingers and we cast the responsibility on other persons who might not either have anything to do with it or might not even be aware that they're being blamed. And the thing about it, when you blame someone, it is very difficult for you to then go back and offer support or even for that person to help you. And we don't blame like the traditional way. We don't just point one finger, because the old thing is that when you point one finger, you have three pointing back at you and one pointing somewhere up there. You even blame higher beings. We have professional blamers now, persons who blame like this, where they point their entire hand to everybody else, everything else except themselves. So we want to make sure that we reach to the point where we move from having that below the point type of attitude where we are constantly blaming, and we want to have an above the point type of attitude where instead of blaming, we actually take responsibility. And taking responsibility is not in any way accepting the blame. Taking responsibility is thinking or determining what could you have done differently that would have given you a better result or a different result. So instead of using your energies and you're focusing on what went wrong and you keep rehashing it, you need to acknowledge what went wrong, but then you need to take that energy and focus on how do we stop this from happening. Taking responsibility also means that whether the result is positive or it's negative, you need to take responsibility. Many of us, when the results are good, we like to come, stand, pat ourselves on the back, and say, "It's me, I did it." And when things go wrong, we then run to see who we could blame. And many times it is usually a team member who cannot defend themselves otherwise. Having an above the point type of attitude means that you need to be accountable. And if you look at this nice long word, but you just look almost to the middle and look at the word that it forms, COUNT, count. which means what measurements, what KPIs are you using to measure how you're performing? You need to be accountable for whatever task or duties you are assigned. And being accountable generally means that you have your KPIs outlined, which are your key performance indicators by which you are measuring your performance. And I always, tell the persons when I'm training that it is important that they have for themselves what I call their PPS. So just want to make sure you write that down. It's called your personal professional standards, which means, let's say you are a receptionist or you're a telemarketer and you need to make phone calls, and the organization says that you need to do 10 phone calls in an hour. Your personal professional standard, in my opinion, should be higher than what the company have set for you. So instead of doing 10 phone calls, push yourself. You can do 15 phone calls. So when you have that, it means that you're going to be accountable and ideally you're going to start getting the result. So I always encourage persons to be accountable for three things. You need to be accountable for your actions, you need to be accountable for your results, and you need to be accountable for your time. And then finally, having an above the point type of attitude means that we need to take ownership. Just like the word suggests, own ship. You are in charge of the direction in which you would want to go. You are the person responsible for chartering your course. So you need to take ownership, which means if you identify an area that you're weak in, that you need to learn or to improve, don't stay in a state of denial. Take ownership. Determine what you need to learn. Who do you need to reach out to? So do not be afraid to ask for help. Because if you continue to have a below the point of attitude and you engage in bad behavior, and many of us do that because, being on your bed is so comfortable, it's so easy. We all love our beds. So then when you're there, you're in a relaxed mode. Nothing really gets done. Keeping it PG-13. So we want to make sure that we move off the bed where, we don't want to feel powerless and drained anymore. And we want to be above the point where we feel powerful and we start taking ownership. So we need to not be a victim, but we need to push in order to be a victor. And that is having an above the point type of attitude. Above the point means that you need to grab onto your oar, OAR, as the word spells. And the oar is like a paddle which you can use to propel your ship to give you the direction and momentum that you need to move forward. In our sessions, the only failure you can have is the failure to participate. You give 100% and you will get 100% today. To get the most out of any training that you attend, whether it's this webinar or another webinar that you may attend, you would want to get rid of the two most dangerous words in the English language. And those are I know. Now think about it. Some of you interact with teenagers, some of you are teenagers, or those who might be listening in. And teenagers, unfortunately, think that they know everything. Every time you go to tell them something, I know. So the I know actually turns into an attitude that people demonstrate or illustrate when you're talking to them, they have their hands full, they're not paying attention to what you're saying, or they're just plainly saying the words, I know. What the I know attitude does to us, it does two things to us, and I want you to write this down. It stops you from learning, number one, and it stops people from sharing information with you. Because let's say, for example, I go to someone and I'm gonna ask them about what they do, and as soon as they start to speak, they probably just got one line in, and I'm already like, I know. Generally, people clam up and they don't want to say anything anymore. And what I've just done, not only have I stop the person from speaking, I have robbed myself the opportunity to learn. So we want to be able to get rid of the I know attitude personally. And then when we get it from other persons, it's not for us to get upset, but we need to learn a good response. And a good response is whenever they want to give you the I know attitude, isn't that interesting? Tell me more. So no need to get upset, no need to clam up. Just say, isn't that interesting? Tell me more. And I would guarantee you that 97% of the time, they have nothing that they can say because they truly do not know. But in the event that they have something to say and they're willing to share it with you, I'm going to ask you to put aside your ego and listen to what they say because they might educate you about something that you did not even think about. So think about it, work on getting rid of it for yourself, and then there's always an action you can take when persons want to give it to you. Isn't that interesting? Tell me more. So when it comes to learning, we must be willing to have some fun. Adding fun to learning helps to really cement the concepts in our brain. And it takes me way back to nursery school and having the reason why teachers use rhymes and rhythms to help us to learn those nursery rhymes that some of us can even recite to a day like today. For example, Piggy on the Train Line. I am absolutely certain that most of you have already started to sing out the whole song already. And all I had to do is start it. And these were things you would have learned 15 years ago, some 20 years ago, some even longer. But the fact that it was fun, it had a rhythm to it, it was easy for us to remember. So I'm gonna ask you for this session, make sure that you write down when you get what we call your BFOs and their blinding flashes of the obvious. These are what we call those aha moments, those light bulb moments. So if you have something that is very important to you, that a concept that you got from the session, I'm going to ask you to use colors or write it in a color, get more than one color pen to write with, and or if you don't have multicolor pens, you can actually draw what we call a banner around it. You know, there's little curly things around it, highlight it, underline it, or write it bigger than the other text so that it's easier for you when you're reviewing and you see that, it becomes almost like instant recall. You can actually come back to the point where I mentioned that particular statement and you will remember what the context was around it. I would ask you to put away your cell phones, mute the calls. This is the time where you're going to get to learn as much as possible and participate. Participation really helps you to learn faster and it also allows other persons to share their ideas with you as well. Very simple rules as we move forward. Working with us, we work with our clients so that we can bring them the level of clarity that they need in terms of identifying their vision and their focus. Before you, we have Mr. Andrew Boyle. He is the CEO of Eureka Medical Labs. And Andrew was one of our very, very first client since we started in 2015. And they have grown tremendously since then. And Andrew continues to put his best foot forward to continue to grow Eureka Medical Labs. I think they have two buildings that looks very identical, so we call them, the twin city medical labs, and on they're located along. God, I'm losing my sense of direction today, but I will get the location for you very shortly. So let's think about your business and let's talk about your business today. And the big question is your business driving you or are you driving your business? And the biggest difference is Your business will be driving you when you are heavily focused on working in the business, which means you are trying to be the janitor, you're trying to be the salesman, you're trying to be the marketing person, you're being the business owner. So you're heavily investing your time working in the business versus working on the business. And working on the business is where you begin to refocus your attention and your time. Because if you're busy doing the work in the business, who's going to be focused on growing the business? And an example that we had, in the early days when Brad was working with clients, he met a salon owner and she told him, the business is frustrating. She wants to grow it. And he asked her, well, what are you doing? And she's every day she is working along with everybody else, cutting hair and coloring hair, etc. Now if she's busy doing that, who's going to be focusing on the marketing for the business? Who's going to be focusing on bringing in new clients for the business? So it usually takes a mental transition for you to thinking about working on the business versus only working in the business. Because when persons they're going out there to start their own business, most of them, unfortunately, all they ever do is that they create a job for themselves. So they end up working harder now that they have their own business versus when they were just an employee. Because when you're an employee, all you need to do is to make sure that you turn up, you sell your time, you make sure you get your tasks done, but you're guaranteed at the end of the month, you're getting a salary. As a business owner, if you don't do what is necessary, if you do not set up your business to grow, then you just create a job and you end up working very, very hard to the point where you're just over broke. You're barely surviving. And over the time that we've been working, we've came across many business owners who were just around this bracket. They're working really hard, but they're not really seeing the fruits of their labor. So, and this is leading to the number one reason for business failure, because you're working so hard, you're investing sometimes 16 18 hours, even more, into the business. People just burn out, they're exhausted, they're tired, they can't go on any longer. And this is one of the biggest reasons why many businesses actually fail. All right. You're working effortlessly, but you're not seeing the financial returns of your efforts. So today we want to change your definition of what a successful business is. It's more than just making profit. And I want you to make sure you take this down. So the definition of a successful business for us is a commercial profitable enterprise, which means commercial means that you're doing your business on a large scale. Are there persons who are willing to buy what you have to offer more than just your friends and your family? Of course, you don't want to just be spinning the wheel. You don't want to just be operating and not seeing the fruits of your labor. So you want to make sure that your business is profitable so that it can really provide you with the tool to get the things that you really want, that you set out for in the first place. And the biggest part of it, we want it to be an enterprise that works without you. When we say this, we don't mean that you need to give up your business. We know that you've worked hard, it's your baby. It is being able to set up your business to operate so that you don't have to worry about not going into the business one day. You don't have to worry that if you have to be away for a critical reason, that you have to be worrying about what is happening. Plus, you have to be worried about what may happen in your business because you are not there. So it is creating that commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. So this helps to free up your time so that you can invest it in other areas that you may want to work on. It could be investing with your family, going on a vacation. It could even be investing in other business ventures. So, very importantly, is creating a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. Now, the simple question I want to ask, for those persons out there who've ever, baked like a cake, for example. And when you're baking a cake, you make sure that you follow the recipe. And the reason why you follow the recipe is so that you can give yourself the best chance, the best probability of having a cake that one looks good, two that tastes good, and three that people will actually want to eat. Now, when it comes to growing a business, there is a recipe for growing a business. And we call this our 6 steps to massive results. And it starts, first of all, from the mastery level. And we're going to dive into each one of these levels a bit more in detail. At the mastery level is where we work with the business owner to eliminate chaos. And this doesn't mean that everything is chaotic, but it allows us to systemize um, the business and start looking at the areas that we can help to improve. Once we're working at the mastery level and we're able to build that stability in the business, we then will work on marketing and or niche as we have it here. So niche is just the fancy word for marketing. It's really helping you to carve out who really should you be targeting, because we can't make everybody happy, and we our products and services are not for everyone. Once we're working on the marketing and we get the leads coming in, this helps to give us what we call predictable cash flow. And with that cash flow, we're able to invest in setting up the systems that our business needs. The systems allows us to leverage our time and our efforts because you do the work now and it serves you for a very long time. The systems in the business allows you to deliver with a level of efficiency and consistency that your customers will truly appreciate. This allows you to then get back your time as the business owner because the team will now be trained on the system. And when the team is trained on the system, we can then start developing the structure for growth for the organization because you're able now to use your team members, use your skills, use their ability with regards to ensuring that the business is operating as efficient as it possibly can be. Once the team is working really well, this might be the best opportunity to move to the point of synergy where we can then install a general manager, somebody who is going to take away a lot of the day-to-day operations off of your shoulder, and that individual will be able to run the team because by then you will have what we call a well-oiled machine. From synergy, we reach to the top where we get the results. And this is where, as the business owner, you can determine what do you do with your profits, whether it be investing in new business, it could be investing in your personal development. And we really push you to get to the point where you get passive income versus active income. Active income means that you need to be there getting the work done. Passive income can come from the business operating like a well oiled machine. It can even come from you selling the business. And I know the sale of business is not a concept that is very popular here in Guyana because when we develop a business, we like to hold on to it as our baby. We want to keep it in the family for a legacy, but we are moving towards that avenue where persons will be building businesses and then selling those businesses, especially to larger companies that might see them as competition. It could be investors looking to buy the business idea. So start thinking along that line that we're moving away from the traditional way of running businesses and we need to build a business that can be sold. And you want to build a business so that it can be sold not just for its asset value, but for multiples of the profits that the business can generate because you have a system in place. So whoever's taking over, all you need to come, they can buy the business today and they can start operations the next day without any major disruption in how the business is operating. So with that, we're going to work towards getting massive results. So we are going to be diving into those areas shortly. Now, we also work along the 6 steps. We also work on the 4 ways, which means that we look at people in education, looking at your team, how can we ensure they're trained really well, look at your systems and the use of technology in the business, how can we deliver our services consistently? Do we need to have newer locations? Do we need to work on our opening hours to make sure we can accommodate our customers? And of course, testing and measuring. Because at Action Coach, we don't try a thing, we test and measure. Test it on a scale that wouldn't cause significant harm, but is large enough for us to determine, is this worth the while? And we are going to get into those areas now. So at the mastery level is where we work on building that commercial enterprise, where we work on getting rid of the chaos. And the reason for that is that when it comes to business, unfortunately, because persons are so heavily invested in the business, they don't have time for their families. It puts a strain on their relationships, puts a strain on the family cohesion. So sometimes, even when they're working and the business is generating money, they're not having the family relationship. People are just waiting for them to move along from the earth, might leave, just so that they can enjoy the money that the business has generated. It could be sometimes if the mastery level is not fixed, it could lead to poor poor finances, having poor financial management, and this too can be a leading cause of strain on family relationship. It can even be a cause for health issues, hypertension, etc., where you're taking on what is happening in the business. So it is important for us to understand what chaos can bring, and then thinking about how do we move from that point of chaos to a point of control. And we're not saying that you're always going to be in control of everything that is happening, but it's how do we keep looking forward, moving forward on that path towards control. And this means that we need to be very prudent in our financial management. We need to make sure that we know our numbers. So it's important that we know how to not just to collect the money and to spend the money, because generally that's where most persons have their PhDs. They know how to collect it and know how to spend it. But it's important that we understand how to track and how to save our monies as well. And especially as an SME, it is important that you take into account you need to save your money so that you can have at least 3 to 6 months of cash flow in the event that something like COVID-19 happens again. Because unfortunately, many small businesses suffered because of the lack of cash to keep them operating. So the 4 areas of mastery are destination mastery, money mastery, time mastery, and delivery mastery. Destination mastery talks about having a clear idea, a clear vision of where you want to go and where you want to take your business. Just like a contractor would not start building a building without having what we call the blueprint, the same thing for you and your business, which means that you need to work on the plan for your business. Where do you want your business to be a year from now? Where do you want your business to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now? It's what we call starting with the end in mind. Because once you know where you want to go, it is so much easier for you to seek out the opportunities and for you to head in that direction. For an example, it's just if persons are driving down the Linden Highway, and if you're familiar with that, you know your destination is to reach to the end or at Sujai Junction, and your headlight can only shine a couple of feet in front of you. So because you know where you're going, you know your destination, and you can just see a few feet in front of you, you can afford to drive at 80, sometimes 100, or even faster because you know your destination and you know that you're going to get there. Next, we have money mastery, and this is a critical part of really building the foundation for the business, having the business owner understand the numbers for the business and the stories that the numbers tell, because business isn't run on emotions. It's not how you feel. You can't feel you're making money. You are either making money or you're not making money. And I'm saying that because persons look at operating cash flow and they believe that their business is healthy. You need to look at what is left. You need to look at your retained earnings for companies. You look at your profits that you're making. And having your numbers in front of you consistently on time is going to be important, because you not only need to look at the historical numbers, you also need to start looking at your projections. And if you don't get your financial statements, which we suggest should be monthly, it means that at the end of the year, you're looking back and there's nothing that you can do because it's already gone. So, ideally, suggesting that you should have your monthly financials in front of you at least by the 7th of the new month for the previous month, so that you can take a look at what happened in the business and determine what improvements do you need to make going forward in the business. So, don't wait until your financial statements like the Titanic, which is so difficult for you to turn, versus on a monthly basis when it's like a speedboat that allows you to maneuver and to shift, ideas and strategies so that you can continue to improve your business. And it's a good saying that if what you don't measure can be managed, and what you don't measure and manage, you cannot grow. This is why it is so important to ensure that you know your numbers and you are tracking your numbers. Other key to money mastery is ensuring that you prepare your budget. And when you ask persons if they have a budget, everybody says yes, they have a budget. You ask them, well, show me your budget. They're fumbling because it's not written down. It's in their head. That's not where a budget belongs. You want to make sure that you prepare a budget for your business, and a budget should be a living, working document, which means that your budget should also be reviewed either on a weekly basis, and it depends on the type of business you're in. You can review it on a monthly basis, you can review it on a quarterly basis to ensure that you're operating according to budget. So this is where the reporting aspect plays a very vital role, and this is one of the areas that we lack when it comes to operating our businesses. So we know we prepare the budget at the end of the year for the new year, and then that's it. It's just numbers and words on the paper, and that's where it remains. So we want to make sure that we play our part to ensure that our budget is being used and we're tracking what we're doing in our businesses. Then it is important for us to know our break even point. And if I ask the question, how many of you know your break even point in the month? I'm sure I would not see many hands. So calculating your break even point helps you to determine at which point in the month do I cover my costs, my total cost, so I can start looking at profits. If you reach break even, let's say on the 28th day of the month, that's when you're able to cover all of your costs. Then it only leaves you with 2 days, 3 days, if so many, depending on if it's a weekend, to make profit. If you're in the month of February, well, sorry, too bad. So we want to make sure that we reach to the point where we know when we reach our break even in the month, so that we can know what our projected profits would be. And we can help you calculate your break even point even down to the day. How much money do you need to be making per day in order to ensure that you can be profitable at the end of the month? So profit, if you're looking to just determine the formula for profit, it will be your sales less your variable cost, or we call it your cost of goods sold, and you less your fixed costs as well. That is how you find your profit. Now, if you want to find your break even point, the break even point will be your fixed costs, and have an idea of what fixed costs are: electricity, rent, salaries. Those are just some examples of fixed costs. So you have your total fixed costs divided by your gross margin percent. Now, for some persons, it might sound a bit confusing, but definitely if you want to learn a bit more about this, you can always reach out to us. We can work with you to help you in one of our complimentary sessions to understand what your break even point is for your business, so that you can have a really good idea of how do you need to work in your business to make sure that you're profitable and you're not just operating. Next, we have time mastery. And this is a critical area where we focus on ensuring that your time is being invested, not spent. And there's a difference, that your time is being invested effectively, so that as the business owner, you're being productive. Because many times you talk to business people, they're saying they're busy, they're busy, they're busy. And when we do what we call our time log study, you find that out of the 8 hours, sometimes 2 hours is actually spent on something productive. So we want to make sure that you're investing your time wisely on activities that can give you the returns that you're looking for. We work with the business owners to ensure that they're not trying to save a wage and costing themselves a fortune. Which means, are you the one who's opening the building? Are you the one who's still answering the telephone? Now, I do understand in some cases, if it's only one person, then yes, you have to do those activities. But in the event where you have team members, think about the value of your time versus the value of other person's time. And as the business owner, your time should be valued anywhere between 5,000, sometimes can go up to even $20,000 per hour. So every time you spend an hour sweeping out the floor, that's 20,000 gone down the drain. While somebody who has a job in that field, their hourly rate might be $500, might be $700 an hour. So if you look at a comparison, you have to really determine how are you investing your time. And you can choose, according to the time target, how you want to invest your time. Now, persons invest their time in things that are not urgent and not important. And these are what we call the distractions, where it's not helping you to get better, it's not helping you to get closer towards your goals, which means these are some of the activities that we might need to start reducing. It could be, Candy Crush, it could be, games that we play. Then we have engaging in activities that are urgent but not important. And this is where other persons create urgencies for you. We call this delusion. So somebody's coming to call you, hey, let me go hang out here, let me go and do this. And you have something very important to do. The minute that you leave that important activity because somebody else is going to creating urgency, you're being delusional, and that sucks away your time. Then there's activities that are urgent and important, and we call these the demand activities. Now, they may happen, and it could be somebody wanting to use your product or your service, and they're ordering in large quantities. You might not have been preparing for it, but that is urgent and important because it is moving you closer towards your goal. But where we want you to be is to be in the zone, which means activities, they're not urgent, but they're important. And they become not urgent because we schedule them. For example, this webinar today, you knew that this webinar was coming up, you knew the time of the webinar, which meant that you had the opportunity to plan and to put things in place for it. So it didn't come up as anything urgent, it didn't come as an emergency because you had already scheduled the time to be here for the webinar today. So it is important for us to work the schedule as much as possible so that we can use that time to work on the business versus trying to deal with all the distractions that happens around us. We work with our clients when it comes to giving them results, helping them to get the clarity that they need to ensure that they know the direction they're going in. We have Dr. Surendra Prasad, one of our awesome clients, and Dr. Prasad, you know, a visionary in his own right, what he wants to do with providing medical care to Guyana, and somebody that I have the highest level of respect for. So his diligence, his commitment is really demonstrating in how he's growing his business, which is Caribbean Surgery Inc. So talking about that level of delivery, the other area of mastery is delivery mastery. And we always have to think about it, are we delivering with that level of consistency that our customers can appreciate? It is not when somebody in a suit turns up, they get one level of service, a very high level of service. And when somebody comes in with their pants torn and their shirt a bit dingy, they get a low level of service. Because many times you would see that the person who doesn't look like they can afford what you do might be the person who can more than afford what you do. While the person who's dressed up might just be a window shopper. They might just be the person who's asking all the questions and not buying from you. So we want to make sure that when we deliver a service to our customers, that we're doing it very, very consistently, regardless of how the customer looks, so that we can ensure that people talk about us. And this is one of the foundations of growing a business. I'm sure we have many experiences that we can share where we went to a place of business, they just opened, the level of service was immaculate, and the next month we went back because we told several persons, and when we went there, we were thoroughly disappointed. And we felt embarrassed because we, more than talk about bringing our friends to experience what we experienced before. So we don't want this to happen to us as business owners, where we reduce our level of service because we're not being consistent. Next, once we're finished with the mastery level, we then move up to niche. And niche is where we build this commercial, profitable enterprise where the marketing starts to flow and we start generating leads and customers to our business. And for us at Action Coach, our definition of niche is where we have no price competition. Now, what does that mean? It means that we work with our clients so that they don't always have to compete on price. Because when you compete on price, it means you have not identified anything that is unique or special about your business. So if you are in, let's say you're a carpenter, it means that the person comes, there's a general pool of carpenters, they put in their hand, they wish around, and they pull out somebody because there's no distinction. And more than likely, the person they're going to pull out is the person who's the cheapest. And you always have to think about this when you drop your price. What is stopping your competitor from dropping their price, or even somebody coming into the market and selling lower than you? And when they drop their price, you're going to drop your price until you end up pricing yourselves out of the market. So while the customer may benefit in the short term because of the price war, the businesses will suffer because they wouldn't be able to operate anymore. And eventually, when they go out of business, then the customer also suffers because there'll be no one to provide that service and or that product. So we work with our clients, identify, what are some things that are unique to the business. One, two, three uniqueness for the business, and we call them your USPs, your unique selling point or unique selling proposition. Once you identify that, then is when we're able to truly sell on value. All right. Once you sell on value, and it's more than just having excellent customer service, right? Because everybody says that they have excellent customer service. So, in creating that unique selling point, we also focus on creating the guarantee. So, a guarantee in itself reduces the risk of people doing business with you because you're guaranteeing to them that my product or my service will deliver according to the standard, or it will deliver according to my marketing. And the guarantee states that if it doesn't deliver, then you'll do one of two things. It can be a money back guarantee, it can be we repair it, can be we'll service it. Whatever the guarantee is, that will give them confidence that your product can deliver what you say it can deliver. Because we have to consider, if we always start thinking about price competition, we want to keep ourselves in this zone, the innovate zone, because the minute our product or service becomes a commodity, it means that we can only compete on price. So we always want to keep thinking about how do we stay in that innovate zone, which is around the innovators to the early adopters, give and take, early majority. That every time we reach to that point in a product cycle, that we start thinking about how do we improve, how do we change, how do we innovate so that we can recapture the part of the market that will be more than willing to pay for what you're delivering. So, for example, if you look at Apple phones, they're not allowing their product to become a commodity because every year they're bringing out a different version of the cell phone, and persons would line up from 3 in the morning or from the day before just so that they can get their hands on it because they want to be among the first of the people to claim that they have this product. But it's not just the product, it is the value that Apple products deliver makes people go after it like it's hotcake. So think about your business and the value that you can create so that you can work on eliminating price competition by having a USP, identifying them, and being able to market them to your target market. Guarantees, they're, they deal with customer frustrations, things that customers complains about. Those are the things that you can do differently in your business. As the example that is given here, for plumbers who arrive late, you can put a guarantee that you know, your plumbers will arrive on time and they will leave the place clean and tidy, or your plumbing job is free. All right. Once you can address the frustrations and make sure that you deliver to the customer, they will do business with you and they will stay with you for a long time. So make sure that it's something that you can deliver, whatever it is that you are guaranteeing. Now, if you think about it, when it comes to action coach and marketing, this can be one of the best concepts that you'll ever learn today. So this is the point where you definitely, if you weren't taking notes before, you would want to grab your pens now. Now, if I ask a simple question, which one of these vehicles would you prefer to have? So the persons in the chat, you can, if for the one at the top, you can type A, for the one at the bottom, you can type B. Which one of the vehicles would you like to have? Hmm. Some persons are saying it privately. Good. So everybody would like to have the one to the bottom because it looks absolutely stylish. But if I tell you that both of these vehicles sit on the same chassis, that's the long bar with the four where the wheels go on, both of them sit on the same chassis and they're owned by the same company. So the whole idea is that many persons look at their business and they think that their business is so unique, it's so different. But all businesses sit on the same chassis, the same structure. And we're going to go through that today where we're able to test and measure how we work with the businesses to grow the businesses. So first of all, let me just quickly go through a little explanation. So most times the business owners would know, how many customers they have. They will know what their revenue is. They would know how much profits they make. But they fail to realize that these are just results. All right. So understanding the 5 ways of growing a business is where we identify the areas that are actually responsible for the results that you see. But there is responsible for you getting customers, revenue, and profits. So let's look at a quick example where we can actually put some numbers and I'm going to explain what each of these 5 ways are or is. So when we talk about a number of leads is a fancy word for prospect. These are persons who know about the business and they actually take some action to reach out to you, to inquire, to come in, to visit your place of business because they're interested in what you do. And from the time that somebody makes contact with you, it means that your marketing would have worked. You've piqued their interest because nobody don't get dressed up and come to your place of business because they have nothing else to do. Then we have conversion rate. Conversion rate is a term that can use for sales. It is the ability of your team members to convert those leads into actual paying customers. So, for example, if 4 persons visit your place of business in the last hour, and let's say only one of them bought something, it means that your conversion rate is only 25%. And it is only when that person pays you that they actually become a customer. So, a customer, by that simple definition, is where somebody is willing to part with their hard-earned cash in exchange for your product and or your service. So if they visit you and they didn't buy, they're not your customer. And even them becoming a customer goes a bit deeper. That we do in one of our seminars to understand there are so many different layers before somebody actually becomes your customer. Then we have number of transactions. This is how often would this person be using your products or services. And the number of transactions, it could be, let's say for our coaching services, we are once a month subscription, which means the number of transactions would be 12 for the year. Then we have average dollar sale, which means what else can we encourage the customer to buy? Average dollar sale is how do we work on upselling and cross selling. Upselling means that if the person comes to buy, let's say they want to just do training, we can then sell them a coaching package. So get them to buy something of a higher value. Then we can work on cross selling, which means that what else can the person buy, which means what are the complementary products and their services that you offer, that if somebody asks for one item or one service, there's another item or another service that you can suggest to them. For example, when you go to KFC or Popeyes or one of those places and you say, can I have can I have two pieces of chicken? Generally, the salesperson asks you, would you like to have fries with that? So it is how do we develop as business owners, or do you want fries with that question? And an example would be, we had a lawyer that was working with us and was into wills and probates, etc. And when persons, come in to deal with their estates about their business, you then ask them, well, have you ever thought about having a will? Now, we're not saying that everybody will say yes to that, but even if one person says yes, that's one additional sale that you would not have gotten if you didn't ask that simple question. So, customers times number of transactions times average dollar sale will give you revenue. Then we need to look at your profit margins. It is very important that you work on getting a
Come
very
on to bed with I
healthy
put. Look at
margin
this competition.
to
All of you,
ensure
all of you.
that as much as possible your business is profitable, because without having profits in the business, it means you're just operating and you are going to burn yourself out. So if you do add some numbers here, let's say for this SME, they had for the period, for the year, they had 4,000 leads. So 4,000 persons were interested in what they had to offer. Out of the 4,000 leads, they were only able to convert 25% of them, right? Which means that they would have gotten 1,000 customers, but it also means that they would have burnt 3,000 prospective customers. It could be that they didn't have what the people wanted. It could be that their marketing might have misled them. It could be when they came in, the service was not great. There's so many different factors that can come into play there. Then the number of transactions for this business was twice a year. The average dollar sale was 100. So this formula looks at the compounding effect. So where you have customers times number of transactions times average dollar sale, which means that your revenue becomes 200,000. The profit margins for this business was 25%, which means that the profit is 50,000. Now, let's look at a 10% increase in the areas and how can we get that. To increase your number of leads would be where we can look at your marketing, improve your Facebook, make sure it's operational, it's functional. Make sure you look at your content that you're posting. We can look at your marketing strategy to determine what might be more effective marketing strategies to use that you may not have considered. And even if you have strategies you've done before, we can examine how do we do it differently. It might not have been the right time. So there are so many other factors that we can consider. So you're able to work with this business, we're able to get your leads up by 10%. So it moves from 4,000 to 4,400. We work with them to improve their conversion rate, which means that we look at having a script because sometimes for the business owner, when you walk in and you talk to a prospective customer, they buy. It is easy for you. And every time you talk to somebody, they would buy. But when your team does it, they're not able to convert as good as you. So the idea would be when you're in your best mood, you're on your game, you're on fire, would be to script what it is that you say. So it's all about preparing the scripts so that we can then model out, have the team trained on it so that we can improve their conversion rate. So we're able to increase their conversion rate by 10%. The idea is now to look at the number of customers we will have. By that simple increase of those two numbers, we're able to move from 1,000 to 1,210 customers. We then look at your number of transactions to improve that. So number of transactions, we look at, when do we book the next sale? So depending on the type of business, you can then confirm with the person, would you like me to book you in for next month? You can call them to follow up. So you have a database where you're calling your customers to find out when they will like the next product, when they like the next service. Let's say for a salon, you can book in the next appointment. We know, and ladies, forgive me if I'm incorrect here. Let's say you do your hair, you know that within another 6 weeks, you may have to do it again. If I'm off at the time frame, please forgive me. But as a salon owner, you can then book in that client. So let them know that you want to make sure that they have a date when they're ready. So you like to book them 6 weeks from now on this date at this time. All right. We're not saying that everybody's going to turn up, but then you're giving yourself a higher chance of getting a return customer than somebody coming to tell them, oh, let's go try this out of salon. All right. So we're able to move the number of transactions up by 10% as well to 2.2. And we're now going to work on the average dollar sale. So the person comes in to do their hair, at the salon, you can then ask them, would you like to do your nails? Would you like to do your toes? Would you like to have a facial? Would you like to have a massage? It all depends on what your salon can deliver. So all of those different services can help to improve the average dollar sale, even though the person might have only asked for one service. And the idea also is that don't think that a customer knows every single thing that you have to offer. Sometimes you might be going to a store to buy one thing in particular, but not paying attention to anything else. And when the person asks you the question, then it hits you. Oh, you guys actually do this as well. And think about if this has ever happened to you as a business owner, where a person's like, I didn't realize that you guys did this as well. So with that, you can then improve your average dollar sale by 10%. And the compounding effect, customers times number of transactions times average dollar sale, would then put you at 290,000 in revenue versus 200,000 from just a 10% increase. So you're able to move your profit margins also up by 10%. And this can be moved up when we look at your purchases. We work on reducing costs or getting better deals in terms from your suppliers. We can even look at raising the prices on some of the products. And yes, I know I can already feel the cringe from some business owners. The only person who is really scared about raising the price is you. Because once you're delivering the value and a product or a service that customers appreciate, they will pay. If you don't move it, we've had businesses that were telling us if they increase the price, they're going to lose customers. They did. They moved the price by, I think, was between 5 to 10% across different product lines, and they did not lose a single customer, which means that the effort they were putting in, they actually got more reward for it because of simply moving their prices up. But we're not saying to be exorbitant and to jump from, let's say, 5,000 to 10,000, but you can gradually move your prices up, which means that you move from a profit of 50,000 to $80,000 in profit. Now that is a 46% increase in your revenue and a massive 61% increase in your profits. And the whole idea is that what do you do with the extra profit? You can decide if you want to buy a new vehicle, if you want to go on a vacation, whether it be to the Caribbean islands, you want to go to the Kaito Falls. You can determine what do you want to do with the extra money. And more importantly, is what do you want to do with the extra time when you're able to systemize your business. Getting the extra time means that you can invest, your time with the important people in your life. This is where, as business owners, they take one day on a Friday where it is heavily focused on planning for the next 90 days. So these are all business owners who can afford to be away from their business for an entire day and not have to worry if they'll go back and still find their businesses. Right? And I'm sure you might see some familiar faces in this group that you may know. You're free to reach out to them to confirm if they're actually able to be away for an entire day without having to worry about their business. And even if you want to say, oh, but they're on phone calls, no, there's no phone calls, no calls during our session, unless it's absolutely critical. All right. Or you can invest your time doing fun things like this. This is part of our team, including business owners as well. We were in Nashville, Tennessee in February for the BizX Award. And actually, here we had Joshua Kisun. He's right was going to be to my right, to my far right. His company won 2 awards at the BizX conference. So, best IT company and best IT business software. And that is a huge, huge accomplishment given the fact that it's a Guyanese company competing with companies from North America. And he was able to be successful in those 2 categories. So every year, the coaches invest in their personal development by going to these conventions, and we are bringing our clients along with us as well. And they're able to be away from their businesses for 5 or 6 days, all depending on the timing of the conference, without having to worry what is going to happen with their business. So it is time to celebrate with the team as well. So Warren Buffett says that it's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. And Warren Buffett is, famous investor. He is one of the wealthiest men in the world, and we can all see what his net worth is, 48 billion, and probably growing. Then we move up to leverage. And leverage is all about building that commercial, profitable enterprise that works. And leverage is all about creating the systems in the business. And systems for us means saving yourself time, energy, and money. Now, what it simply means is that you create the how to when it comes to the task that needs to get done. So that even if you're not there or the person who's doing it is not there, somebody else can easily take over that task and actually execute it. Now, there are 9 steps to systemizing a business. And the first one, it talks about having your vision, your mission statement, your culture statements mapped out, clearly defined, and that falls under destination mastery. It talks about setting your goals and having your organizational chart. This can come under planning. And you want to make sure that you set SMART goals. And for those who may not remember the acronym, it is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and of course, time bound. You want to make sure that the goals that you're setting meets that criteria. Then with your organizational chart, you want to map out what your organizational chart looks like now and what you want it to look like in the future. It can be 6 months from now, it can be a year from now, it can be 3 years from now. And one of the tips I leave you here as an added bonus for your organizational chart is to ensure that on your organizational chart that a frontline staff isn't reporting to two bosses. Because when the person has to report to two bosses, you know, they are very, very ingenious, which means they create havoc that have the two persons at the top fighting while they're relaxing in the corner, not doing anything. So especially where they're what we call couplepreneurs, a husband and a wife, they're gonna go to the husband and say, mistress want to do this thing. And the husband gonna feel that he should be in charge. And then if you do something, and then the employee's gonna go to the mistress and say, well, the boss man said I got to do this thing. And once the two of them rowing and carrying on, the employees they're not doing anything, but still they're gonna be paid for the day. So it is important to make sure there's a clear distinction, even if it's a couplepreneur, who is in charge of which areas and who is in charge of which staff, so that you don't have staff playing you against each other. And trust me, it has happened, it's still happening, and the staff members are smart about it. From your organizational chart, you want to prepare your positional contracts. And we call it positional contracts because it is for the position. Very often we find that persons prepare a job description based on the individual. And when that happens and a person leaves, it becomes difficult for them to get a replacement who is going to be identical to the person they had before. So if you create the job description based on the position, then whoever is filling that position needs to meet these criteria. They need to meet the requirements of the position. You want to also establish your KPIs, your key performance indicators for the business. And you can have KPIs by department, and you can have overall KPIs for the organization. So, for example, KPIs for the finance department could be timely submission of reports by the 7th of the month. It could be the accuracy of their financial information. Those are KPIs for finance. For sales, it can be the sales figures that they need to reach. It can be the number of customers that they need to have. So for each department, you can have your individual KPIs, and then you can have your overall KPIs for the company. Then number 8 is creating the how-to systems, which means this becomes your manual, your how-to manual, where it has the key areas in the business and what needs to be done or how it needs to get done, so that if somebody new comes in, that person, first of all, is introduced to the systems manual. They read it, they understand what the position is all about, and how they need to carry out each one of their functions. Then number 9 talks about having the management systems in place. And this is really the point where the business can actually be sold, because anybody who's buying the business, they're having the management systems. It's almost as a point where you can franchise. So just like KFC or Popeyes or one of those, it means that you buy the business, you buy the franchise, and it comes with everything. The manuals, how to do this, how to fry the chicken, how to store it, how to train the team, how they should greet their customers. Those are the management system that allows you to easily sell the business. So those are the 9 steps to systemizing the business. Once we're finished with leverage, we can then move on to working on the team. And when we're working with the team, this is where the business actually now can work without you. So let's think about you and your team. And I love this particular quote by Tom Peters, who says that most employees are motivated, energetic, committed, enthusiastic, and loyal, except for the 8 hours a day they work for you. I don't think you've ever noticed that when your team members come in the morning, it's as if they're dragging themselves to be there. You can see some of them sit down and their physical looks so relaxed, they're lethargic. And as soon as the time comes for them to leave, you see a spring in their step. They're smiling, they're excited, and they make sure that they go and pee on company time, which means that let's say if they're coming off at 5 o'clock, by 10 minutes to 5, that's when they go into the washroom. They make sure they go and they spend about 8 minutes in there. So by the time they come back out, it's just to grab their bags and leave. Sometimes persons are even positioned by the door. As soon as it strikes 5 o'clock, they're out. So we don't want to create environments where our team members are happy to escape from our working environments. So as your coach, we'll work with you to help you to build your team because we help you to understand that as the owner, it is your major responsibility to take care of your team, where you're responsible for training your team, you support your team by giving them direction, by your leadership, by making sure that they have a place to come to work. That is your role as the owner. Your role is not to go deal with the team, deal with the customers, and try to operate the business all in once. Because the minute you move past your team and you try to deal directly with your customers, you're stripping your team of their authority, which means every time somebody comes, they don't want to talk to the team members anymore. They say, with the boss man there, or with the boss lady there. So you want to make sure that you empower your team, you train your team, you get your team up to speed so that your team can deal with your customers. Even for us, we have our team members from our executive assistant to our projects. They know the scope up to which they can deal with a prospective client. They know the questions to ask, they know how to move them forward to the point where they need to speak to somebody senior. And not as soon as somebody call, oh, hold on. So if you don't empower the team, then you're always going to have to be busy addressing the simple issues in simple areas. The team takes care of the customers, and the customers are treated really well. The customers takes care of the business. And then the business, as it should be, takes care of the owner because that is your tool, your vehicle towards achieving the goals that you set out initially. So some keys to a winning team, we're going to share with you the 6 keys to a winning team. And there's strong leadership, having a common goal. So strong leadership talks about the leader leading with passion and taking responsibility. Having a common goal, which means a clear vision that the team members can buy into. Rules of the game, having rules clearly defined so team members can know what they can and cannot do. And the scope of their job roles, having an action plan in place. And make sure that the plan is a simple plan that is not just on paper, but it can actually be implemented. Number 5, support risk taking, which means all of your team members were born with a brain. They didn't drop from a coconut tree, which means they may have ideas. It might not always be the best ideas, but if you do not create an environment where they're free to share their ideas, they're going to feel demotivated. They're going to be quiet. And when you need them the most, they're not going to be there to support you. We're not saying that you need to allow everybody to have their own way, but allow them to share their ideas and then ratify it as a team or ratify it with them so you can determine if it's something that can be done. And if you need to put down their ideas, don't shoot it down, don't blast it with a cannon. Gently let them know, well, it cannot work because of these factors, or have you considered these factors? Number 6 talks about 100% involvement and inclusion. And this is creating an environment where people feel as if they belong to the team. They feel that they're part of your working environment. And, sometimes we have team members That's we only remember that they exist when it's payday, when we see them on the payroll. Or we have some team members, who are always running around, trying to talk up with, the senior people or with the boss. We want everybody to feel included. And with this, we have a ritual which you call our wiffle, and you get to learn more about this uh, once you start working with us. So, winning teams know how to get the right people on the bus. And then sometimes the biggest question, are you the right driver for the bus? Because sometimes as business owners, we might not have the best of attitude, might not have everything all planned out. And are we not willing to learn so that we can be the right driver for our buses? Or are we just going to keep driving and hope that we get to a beautiful destination? And you always have to think about it. Would you, as the business owner, would you hire yourself? If you look at your work ethics, your results, would you hire you? That's a question I'd like you to ponder on. So getting the right people on the bus means that we can start looking at their behavioral style. And this is a concept that you would also become very familiar with. It helps you to understand your team members and understand their behavioral styles, not their personality types, because we're not psychologists, but this helps you to quickly understand who are the people you're talking to, what are their skills that they naturally have, and what are the areas that they'll need to improve on. For example, these styles, they're outgoing and task oriented. These are drivers, pushers, they're aggressive and aggressive, but not they can also not be very diplomatic. They say what they want to say. I persons, they're outgoing, full of energy, influential type of persons. The S style, they're more relators, great listeners, have a hard time saying no. The C persons, they're more reserved but task oriented. They love the details. Now, this goes way in depth. We have an entire training seminar on DISC, and I came into contact with DISC 2015. And I can safely say, without reservation, DISC is one of the major reasons why myself and Coach Vishnu have such a growing working and professional relationship, because we understand each other. Not saying that we don't rub each other, not saying that we don't get on each other's nerves. Yes, we do. Notwithstanding, we understand how we are and we're able to work around it. But I can tell you with great certainty, probably if it wasn't for DISC, I might not have been here, because when with the lack of understanding of your team members, you don't know why they behave the way that they do. And we might look at somebody and judge them wrongly because of our lack of understanding of their behavioral style, and vice versa. So DISC is so critical for your internal team, and it's also important for your sales team to understand the customers when they go out to them as well, because people fall into one of these brackets for their dominant behavior, and you get to learn more about that as well. Further to this, we can look at the team members and perform what we call the AccuMatch Behavioral Intelligence Report. And this goes deeper than DISC, really helps to dive into the person's mindset, the way that they think, and the way that they operate and why they do that. If you look at this particular chart, you will see the green band that represents what the average is. And I think they've done over, I think it's 5,000 tests. I can get that confirmed. But the red line is a test that we would have done, and it showed how this person compared to the rest of the world's average. All right, and it goes really deep, and it's a fantastic report that really helps you to understand why you think the way you think and to help you as an individual to improve. So once we're finished with mastery, niche, leverage, and team, we then can really push into synergy and results, where we can look at growing the business, we can look at installing a general manager to run the business, and this is where we can, what we say, put the business on autopilot. So you can focus on bigger activities or more things that you need to get done. So Richard Branson says that if you can learn to run one business successfully, then there's no reason you can't run any number of businesses at the same time. The principles are still the same. It was Jim Rohn who said, never wish life were easier, wish you were better. So work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And it simply means that it's not that you're not going to work hard on your job, it means that improve yourself, invest in yourself, because if you learn to do your role really well, it means the work will become easier. And Bradshaw says that where we'll be in 5 years depend on the books you read, the people you associate with, and the actions you take. Because we're not called think about it coaches, we're not called I'll come back coaches, we're called action coaches. So what we do is to help business owners to make better decisions faster. And with that, we have Andre Cummins. Andre Cummins has been with us for over 3 years. He's the CEO of Florit, Guyana. And if you see what they're doing in terms of converting Guyanese hardwood into exotic wooden flooring that they manufacture and they can install. And Andre is experiencing exponential growth as well. He's not only expanding locally, he's also expanding across the Caribbean. Last year, he was able to open Florida, Jamaica, and there's Florida coming soon to another Caribbean country. So we not only focus on our clients to expand locally, but once there are opportunities for them to expand regionally and even internationally, we will help them to do that as well. So if you guys have never experienced Florida, Guyana, I'm going to tell you to go look for them on Facebook, and you can see and experience what they have to offer. So after this seminar tonight, there are two directions that you can go in. You can take all the tips that you've learned this evening and you can go and work on improving the business on your own. Or if you're really interested in massive results, I'm about to tell you what some of your options are. Now, just a quick idea of what business coaching is all about. It's a business apprenticeship where, we help you to grow your business, and it's where two persons are focused on you. So your coach and yourself, you're focused on your goals and moving your business forward. It's customized to what you need because we understand that individually everyone is unique and the way in which you might operate might be different to somebody else. So we make sure that we customize our strategies towards you and your business so that you can keep growing. By working with a coach, you will learn how to generate more cash flow, more profits, improve your team performance, and of course, more free time so that you can enjoy the things that you love. So investing in your future can be either at our growth club, and this is the workshop that we do once per quarter. We would have had our growth club on September 12th. It's where we come plan for the next 90 days. So the next growth club is going to be in December. For those persons who are interested, you can always let me know and book your spot where you get to work on your plan for the next 90 days. Or simply, you can even work on getting access to our client portal, has tons of videos, information about business and business concepts that you can start using. This is if you want to do this on your own. Then you have our Business Rich seminar. This is a 2-day Business Rich workshop. It's really packed 2 days of information. And the investment for this particular program, it is $79,000 for the business owner, and it really helps you to look at the areas of, vision, increasing cash flows, marketing, sales, management and leadership, etc. Then we have our Action Club. Our Action Club is like a mini NBA, but we make it very practical. So you come, you get the theory, the knowledge, you ask your questions, then you go back, you get a chance to implement what you would have learned. Then there's an aspect of accountability within your group, and even at the session, you get to present what were the results of what you've implemented. Because very often we find that persons learn a lot of concepts, but they fail to take action, they fail to implement, and so they don't get the results. The curriculum for the Action Club, there are 7 areas, just to give you an idea of what those areas entail. So from setting your vision, generating cash flow, to sales, to looking at the systems that you need to put into the business, and of course, building teams. So it's more moving towards the point of having you learn the information and then, as much as possible, implement. So investing further in your future as a business owners who, the persons who are really committed to their growth, we usually join our one-to-one coaching programs. And this is where we meet with a business owner and commit to about 5 to 10 hours per week with helping you to work on the business. The program starts from $87,360 per month for a mentor club program. It can go all the way up to over 500,000 for our freedom coaching program, and those are for persons with bigger business ideas who are looking to invest, grow, start other businesses, etc. But all of it kicks off with what we call our alignment, and this is really getting an opportunity to understand your goals and where you want to go and where you want to take your business. So Tiger Woods says, no matter how tough you think you are, you cannot do this on your own. And if you understand what he's saying is that Tiger Woods has several different coaches, and he was the #1 golfer in the world, probably still rated now as still the best, but he has several coaches. Even Usain Bolt, as good as he is, Usain Bolt has about 6 coaches. He has a fitness coach, a speed coach, he has an education coach, a business coach, he has a nutrition coach, he has a stamina coach. So these are all different people who work in different areas of his life. So I can guarantee you that 12 months from today, you will arrive. But the real question is where? You'll arrive where you started, where you're still pulling your hair out of your head, stressed out over your business, or you can be at the point where your business is operating, it's running without you or without minimal supervision from you, and you're able to enjoy the finer things in life. So the whole idea is that you'll know you've made a good decision when it brings up either fear or excitement. So for today, we have a very, very special offer for those persons who submit their business background questionnaire. You'll receive a complimentary 1 to 2 hour business strategy session. And you can email your information to info@actioninvest.org, and we will send you the copy of your questionnaire so that you can secure your complimentary business strategy session. Now, at this point, do we have any feedback coming in? Any questions anybody would like to ask? This would be the time to do so. All right, so there being no questions coming in at this time, I would like to say thank you all for joining me today for this webinar. Looking forward to hearing from you. Even if you want to send your feedback to our email address, just gonna put it up so that you can just continue to make a note of it so that we can continue to work on moving you forward. So I'm seeing a question coming in, the cost for our expertise, and this would all depend, Yogeshwar, on us meeting, taking a look at your business to determine the scope of your business and helping you to decide which program will be best suited to help you to get the results that you're looking for. As coaches, it is our responsibility to ensure that we find our fee, which means that within 3 months of working with you, we want to help you to get to a position where you're improving in your cash flow, getting new customers, so that our coaching fee does not become an expense or a burden to the business owner. So first of all, we want to make sure we reach with you to determine the scope of your business. Because if you are not coachable, as we say, which means if we can't get to the returns, if you're not going to be willing to make the decisions to move your business forward, then we can't work with you. Okay. So yes, as the coaches, we will provide you with guidance on how to prepare your budgets and your financial statements. We will help you to review it, help you to understand the numbers. The only thing that we would not do is to do it for you. So we'll provide you with all the guidance that you need to ensure that it is being done accurately and you're getting the results that you're looking for. All right, any other questions, comments? Good. All right, so there being none, it's been an absolute pleasure having this webinar with you this evening and looking forward to working with you. And Yogeshwar, I will definitely be reaching out to you. All right, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Remember to stay safe. COVID-19 is still real. So we want to make sure that we protect ourselves and we
You know, every business owner dreams of building an amazing business. And to build a better business, you really do need to build a better business plan. Ultimately, you want to build a business that works so you don't have to. A commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. And that's where Action Coach comes in. Our 6 steps to building a better business is really the recipe or the system to building a great business for you, your family, and your future. It all starts right at the base level. At the base level, we use a term called mastery. Mastery is broken into 4 basic steps. And the main aim of mastery is very simple. It's to eliminate the chaos in your business. So if you want massive results, we've got to look at your direction mastery, where you're going, the organization, how it's getting there, your time mastery, how we're doing with productivity. Then we're going to look at your delivery mastery, making sure the customer gets what they need, turning that into money mastery, of course. And then we need to climb that ladder. The ladder to massive results moves up, and we kick into the marketing side of things. You know, with marketing, many people get distracted and think, this is all too hard. Well, if we could break it down and make it simple for you. Take it down into just 5 ways: leads, conversion, number of transactions, repeat business that is, average sale, and margins. Each of these has multiple strategies that your Action Coach can work with you on. And then it's about your systems. Systems, what are they? Well, the system stands for basically save yourself time, energy, and money. We have a 9-step process to developing that systematic methodologies in your business so that not only do you have predictable cash flow, but you have efficient delivery within your business. Ultimately, stability, cash, time are all part of the massive results phenomenon. But then we've got to move and we've got to say, well, I don't run my business, my people do. We've got to build that team. Six keys to a winning team from us here at Action Coach allow you to build that commercial, profitable enterprise where the team runs it. The people in charge build the business for you. And once you've hit those basic 4 levels, then what we're looking for is to turn your business into a massive synergistic growth machine. That's right. It's running without you now, and now we can expand. Now we can grow the business to multiple locations around the world. But ultimately, it's the level of goal that you're after. And that's why we bring the final point of our 6 steps to that of freedom. Your freedom, the freedom to sell the business, the freedom to let the business run without you. Whatever it is you're looking for, the team at Action Coach are here to help you build a business that works so you don't have to. Come join us. Come hang out with us. Let's build a plan together for you and your business.